to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
I am supposed to tell you in a general way how I was, why I'm here, and how it's like for me today. I'm not up here to tell a war story because all of us that did our drug of our addictions already know how to get it and how to do it and where to go get it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not up here to tell a war story. I'm up here to tell you how my life was. First of all, I want to start with, at a very young age, I learned how to manipulate, how to lie, and also how to hold secrets, and not to trust anyone. And that's because of my sexual abuse that I went through at the age of 5 years old. So I carried that with me for a while. I can remember taking my first drink at the age of 6 years old. And my dad, because I didn't really know much about my dad until I was at that age. And my dad always went to my aunt's house to an after hour. And I would always dance, and always was entertainment, because I love to dance and sing. And I can remember my dad always sitting his cup of liquor on the side, and I would always walk up and sneak and take a drink. And then I would sit back down and jump back up and dance, and I started liking that stuff, So every time my dad would take me with him, I would always drink, would always say, hey, I get a chance to take a drink, and that was to get out of myself, I have to say that my story is a lot different from other people's story. In my first beginning of pain, I can remember telling my grandmother at 5 years old that the monster was going to get me. And my grandmother would always tell me I was so alive. Come on, stop this, stop doing that, and would whoop me, So then I couldn't wait for my dad to come and get me another day so I could go have another drink. And my dad never thought that I was drunk up there acting a fool, dancing at 6 years old, So I had started wetting the bed, and I told my grandmother, I said, I didn't do it purposely. I'm telling you the monster coming to get me. And my grandmother would tear me up, y'all. Back in them days, they would have them switches, and they would braid them together and tear your legs up. And that was a lot of pain for me, because I felt like, she didn't believe nothing that I said, and I felt like I was nobody. When I finally got to move with my mother, I knew then that my mother was going to be my joy, because she would tell me over the phone that nothing would never happen to me and no one would ever harm me. So I felt real comfortable with my mother, But it's something that my mother did that I didn't know until I got older. And my mom was on drugs too. But neither that there or more. My mom did something, she spoiled me. I guess she felt, because of her addiction and leaving me and abandoning me, that she owed me so much. So I grew up thinking that the world owed me everything. I didn't have to do nothing because my mommy would give me anything I wanted at any time I wanted it. If I fell out, my mommy would get me up out the store and she'll buy it. My mom didn't whoop me. My mom worked a lot, and I can remember going through some pain at a young age where, my sister would always run away from home because something in our home was happening and she didn't really share it with me. So I felt like, why did she hurt me? I need her. Why is she leaving me? So I had to grow up with that pain in me too, not having my sister in my life like she was supposed to be. And it wasn't her fault. You know, it was just some things going on in our household that she couldn't deal with. I can remember me at 16 years old telling my mom in Rochester, New York, where I live, that I'm leaving home. And my mother looked at me and she told me, she said, "You doing what?" "I'm leaving and I'm moving out of town." My mother was like, "And who paying your way and who going and where you going to stay and all of this?" I said, "Don't worry about it because my man gonna take care of me." And y'all, that's where I was looking for love in all the wrong places, because my mother told me to my face that if you leave from this house, this man is gonna pimp your drawers off. That's exactly how my mother told me. But I was in love, y'all, you know, because he was the only one I could trust, the only one that loved me, and it seemed like he was the only one that paid me that attention. You know, so I left with that man. I married that man. And that man beat me so bad, y'all. He beat me from morning to night. And I can remember one day he beat me so bad that I had to go to the hospital. He rearranged my face. I had to go to the hospital, and the police asked me who did it, and I told them that this man picked me up off the streets, and I don't know who he was. So y'all, I'm thousands and thousands away from home, you know, out there prostituting, doing whatever I could do to make it, you know what I'm saying, to make him happy and me happy too. Although neither there, when I got there, go back a little bit, when I got there, there was 5 women in the house. So I'm thinking that this is his family. But them is his prostitutes. I didn't know that. So I started crying and asking for my mommy and saying, "I want to leave." He was like, "B, you my wife, you can't go nowhere. It's what I say and how I say it and the way I want it." And I was looking at him and I was like, "I thought you loved me." He said, "This is love." So I grew up at 16 thinking that if you beat me, then that was love. You know, if I went out and sold my body and gave you my money, that was love. You know, so I went on through that relationship for 10 years. And I finally said, enough is enough. I got to go. And I can remember this man coming on the bus, y'all, telling me that I was crazy, and if I leave him, he's going to kill me. I said, "Well, it's people on the bus. If you want to kill me, go ahead and kill me. Because I'm leaving. If it's time for me to die, then I'm ready to die." And that scared him. He got off that bus and left me alone. I went home, y'all, to my mom. At that point, I got introduced to crack cocaine. I can remember when I first took my first hit, I was looking at my friend and I was like, what am I supposed to feel like? You know, I know I was feeling weird, but it was like a control weird, and I was like, what to do next? She said, "You didn't do it right, do it again." And I did it again, y'all, and I fell in love. Instantly, I was in love. That was my man, that was everything to me, you know. You know, I'm just so grateful that God even took me through all that pain. You know what I'm saying? He took me through all of that for me to see where I need to be today. You know, I'm just so grateful that everything that happened in my life I learned through the steps. You know, they say in these meetings, they said, when I first started coming to these meetings, I was like, this is a call. All this stuff don't mean nothing. They getting high. He's selling dope. She over there with her they gay. And I was just all in that, y'all. I was crazy in the room trying to get recovered. But that's not really what I want, you know. And for a long time, I thought that these rooms was a cult, you know. And I can remember an old timer telling me, keep coming back. Just keep coming back. And I kept coming back high. I mean, crazy. And I can remember always dressing up. See, as a child, I was always taught to look like a lady. So I can remember always dressing up that outside. and not dealing with the inside. So that's what I did, y'all, for years. I would get sharp and I would look good, and I was ugly on the inside. You know, so I can remember my first time going to a rehab here in Youngstown. I went to the Denafia for women, that's what it was called back then. And my sister took me, and I came to this meeting, and I had on my little skirt set and everything, and I guess the lady's husband kept staring at my legs to where it got back to Miss she works down at SRO downstairs with the men now, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Okay, and it got back to her. So instead of her coming to me, she called my sister instantly and told my sister, I want you to come get her high heel boots. I want you to come get all her dress-up clothes and bring her nothing but sweatsuits. But see, back then, my sister didn't understand. She was like, well, why is you tearing her down when y'all supposed to be building her up? Why is you taking all her pretty clothes? And the lady, she explained to my sister what it was. And so my sister immediately came and picked up all my good stuff and brought me some jeans and sweatsuits. And I was not allowed to iron them jeans. I was allowed to wear tennis shoes only. So I had 1 pair of tennis shoes, 3 pair of jeans, and 3 sweatsuits. And I started coming to the meetings, and I would always be angry. And I can remember this lady would tell me, she's passed now, would tell me, just keep coming back, love yourself. You know, so I'm like, what is this lady talking about? Keep coming back and love yourself. You know, I'm like, whatever. So at that point in time, you know, I got out of Denafia, and I went right back out. I went right back out, and I stayed out there, y'all, for a while. You know, but and neither there or that. I have 6 penitentiary numbers, 6, and I can only remember 1. Because I was in and out of penitentiary for the same thing, y'all, that drug trafficking. You know, but my main record was theft. Because I would go in them stores and I would steal all I could and go sell it for what I really needed. You know, so that was how I paid my bills, how I ate, and whatever else I needed to do was to go in them stores and steal whatever it was I needed. And for me to go in there and change my clothes and look good and come out, you know, looking glamorous, I thought. You know, at that point, I kept going in and out the penitentiaries. I can remember me calling my sister and telling my sister, what you gonna do now? Where's my money? My sister said, hold up, what money? You don't have a job. You don't have no checks coming to me. So how you gonna tell me how to take care of you in the penitentiary? She said, you'll get whatever I give you when it's time for you to get it. And I'm like, they owe me. I can't live in a penitentiary like this. You know, and thank God my sister took care of me the whole time I was in and out. The penitentiaries getting them numbers. My last number, y'all, I truly remember, is when I learned. See, when they said stop smoking cigarettes, I stopped immediately. I didn't wait until they said stop. When they started announcing meetings and everything, I went immediately. Because I could remember the people calling my sister calling me, and they took me up to the top, to the men's institution on top, and I went to the warden's office, and my sister telling me that my mother was real sick. Real sick. And I had this feeling in me when I went to the penitentiary. I had stole from my mother her last $10 to go get high. I could remember that. And it was so painful. It was in my gut, and I just stayed in the fetal position thinking about my mom was sick, and I didn't even ask for forgiveness. So I'm like, okay, God, I need you now. And this is just like, it's right in front of me today. I can remember God telling me it's time for you to get it right. it's time for you to allow me to work in your life. Because if you don't, this is the end. And I said, oh my God. I'm like, what am I going to do now? You know, and I was afraid. I was really afraid. So I got another phone call. And at that point, I was selling my trims in prison, hustling, because they was giving me trims for my medical condition. And I can remember selling them to get my hustle on, and God woke me up that night and said, I said, stop. So I went to my doctor the next morning, and he didn't understand what was wrong with me. He thought I needed to see a mental doctor. I said, I don't want those drums no more. They ain't helping me. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm doing things with them that I'm not supposed to do with them, so you need to take them away from me. So he did. And at that point in time, I got another phone call that my mother had died. And that hurt me so bad, because that was all I had in the whole world was my mom. And I knew when she would write me that we would talk about going to the mall, and I'd be pushing her in a wheelchair, and we just gonna shop till we drop, you know, as soon as I get home. And